Summertime, summertime. Så du min, og jeg vild med dig. Summertime, summertime. Honey, solen danser, du og jeg. Hver evig.
Hi there and welcome to this week's astrological forecast for the week starting at the 3rd of July, ending at the 10th. I'm your modern shaman, Maria in Rainbow Land, here from my showroom slash our meditation room slash home in Tokyo, Japan. If you're new to this channel, I am from Denmark and I'm an astrologer, composer and songwriter, and Maria, and I'm a TV journalist. I have been filming 550 programs for Danish television. I'm producing programs for the web, and then I'm making these weekly astrological forecasts. And I have my own clothing label, Rainbow Land. Anything I do is to inspire people to follow their hearts, not trends. That's what I have been trying to do since I was 19. Today I am 39 years old. When I stopped going to school, I started my own business right away, where I tried to follow my heart, and I have been through many different stories, many different things in my life, and this is what taught me about astrology, because I've been following the stars and seeing which aspects and which constellations in the sky created which situations around the world and in my personal life, in the life of friends, etc. So my background in astrology is I learned a lot from my uncle and aunt, 50 years of astrology, professional astrologers, and then life taught me. And I'm also channeling. So it's a combination of astrology and what needs to be said. We start out with the collective forecast, and after that we will go into the personal sun signs. So if you're on this channel right now, you can look down and see if we are on your personal sign. The collective forecast is necessary because it tells about how the world is at large, what we as a collective need to learn, and that's important because you are always interacting with other people unless you are alone, homesick in your bed, or other ways isolated from the world. This is the general energy, and when we go into the personal sun sign, it's more precise of what could be happening or what kind of overall schedule can be for you this week. So we will start out with the sky as it is. And every week it's interesting to see where the moon is, because that's the fastest moving. So that's kind of dictating what's going on a day-to-day basis. And if you look at this is the zodiac, and we can look at the different signs as the rooms we enter. The houses are what are the frames of the rooms. The signs, what's inside the room. And the planets, we just call them all planets, even though some are asteroids, some are luminaries, like the moon and the sun, etc. We just call them planets. The planets are the players, the people or the characters in the room, right? So this is the perspective from which I'm gonna explain the things going on. So when the moon goes through the whole zodiac, it takes 28 to 29 days. And depending on who the moon meets, which planet, it will activate these planets. And depending on which geometric alignments, aspects the different planets make to each other, different sorts of situations, loose, tense, tight, supporting, more challenging, the story will be, or the schedule will be. So it's always important for a weekly report like this, or daily, or monthly for that matter, but to see where is the moon, because that's where the storyline starts on that day. And as this week starts, the moon is in, the moon is in Pisces. So it will go from Pisces into Aries, into Taurus throughout this moon cycle, or this week. So this means that we will start out the week in the meditative, psychological, more behind the scenes, like I am in connection with the universe or God or whatever you want to call it. I'm meditating, I'm in out in nature, I'm getting in touch with my spiritual nature. And that's collective because that's kind of connecting to all there is. Because on this side of the zodiac we are in the impersonal signs where it's about other people, groups in different situations and ways. Then we move into Aries and then the whole new cycle starts. The Pisces is the end of the cycle. So we're kind of, as this week begins, ending a lunar cycle and starting a new one with Aries. Where we have the fire, and again it's personal, it's about my identity, where I want to go in the world. The new ideas come, the inspiration, etc., the fire, the passion. And then it goes into Taurus where it's, okay, let's manifest these ideas, let's see if they work in real life, and etc. But throughout this journey it activates different things. It will start by crossing over Neptune here in Pisces, and we can roughly say that Neptune is in a grand trine this week. We can talk about exact aspects and constellations where it's like, okay, it's in 16 degrees, 16 degrees, 16 degrees, that's an exact constellation. But even if it's 3 degrees apart, it's still, you know, in contact with each other. So it will activate this grand trine. You can see there will be a trine between the Sun, Jupiter, the Sun in Cancer, Jupiter in Scorpio, and Neptune over here in Pisces. And the Moon will activate this as we start this week. These are the intuitive signs. These are the water signs, or ether you also say. And let's just keep it simple here. And these signs are all about our past, in one way or the other. Pisces is about letting go, surrendering. It's about how can I surrender myself to this life, to God, or to whatever you want to call it. How do I stop my ego from coming in and wanting this and that and keep holding on to something tightly? How do I let go? And this report this week for me is, or I have chosen to call it, letting go of the role of the victim. The reason why I do astrology is, I even started going into it myself, was to understand why these different situations occur to me in my life. Why does this pattern keep on repeating itself? Why do I keep on meeting these kinds of people? Instead of feeling like I'm a victim, oh, now society did this to me. Oh, now my boss did this to me. Why does my boyfriend always say this or do this, or girlfriend always cheat on me, or mom always bug me, etc. This is because astrology can help you understand. You don't need astrology. You can also just ask yourself, close your eyes and ask inside your heart, or I call it follow your heart. My twin flame, my partner, Martin Mikkelsen, he would call it the higher self. I would also, but he is writing a book about the higher self, and that's how he says it. Why not ask your higher self? You don't need astrology, you don't need tarot, you don't need other external forces. You have all answers within you, in your heart. That's why I always say, don't follow trends, follow your heart. And in all piece of clothes I design, in every song, and in any program, I always keep repeating this, because I'm not the one holding your answers. I'm just trying to guide you to what you already know, because we all know all the answers if we open up, if we dare to let go and release anything that's clouding our minds. And that's what the Moon in Pisces can activate, because it activates Jupiter in Scorpio, which is deep transformation on a very deep level, a journey we've been trying to transform since 2012. I'm not going to go further into why I'm saying that. You can see that in other programs. And then we have Cancer here, which is your personal life, your inner child, in combination of the deep transformation of heavy, deep inner stuff, deep wounds, long time, old, past wounds, and the inner child, when it was not heard, nurtured, or supported, and whatever you need to let go of up here in Pisces, and surrender this to life and say, okay, I'm not the role of the victim. Now I will start asking myself, how can I change so that this doesn't keep repeating? I would use these times, not only because of that, also because of the Mars retrograde. I talked about it last week when I said that Mars is going to come into a square again, as it was in the end of May, with Uranus. So what I meant was, it's a long process of this Mars retrograde as it goes backwards and then forward again, of this particular thing that you feel is the heaviest thing in your life right now. And if it's 2, if it's 3 things, don't feel like a victim. Just feel like, oh, probably I consider myself strong enough to deal with all of these, so I will have trust in that my higher self or inner stronger, the soul part of myself is strong enough to handle it, otherwise it wouldn't be on my plate. So we need to find some trust and trust the process and not escape from it. We live in a culture, which is also the water signs. They say that the Pisces are the ones that drink red wine, Cancer beer, Scorpio drinks. I'm not saying that I know this is right. I don't drink. Even in my younger years, it's not that I haven't tried to be completely drunk or anything like that. It's just that it's ruining my vibration spiritually. So I'm meditating every day, trying to keep up the energy high. If I drink, I will take it down again, and I don't have to build it. And I don't really need it. I'm the type that would just, if you ask me now, I would get up and dance. I don't have these restrictions that I need alcohol to. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing just for everyone to drink alcohol, but for me, with my purpose and my job as a guide and a channel, it will just clutter the whole field of energy. But the point is that here there can be a tendency to escape because we are longing for that inner connectedness with all there is. But I strongly advise you not to do so, not to escape through medicine either. Like, the thing is that we are now with the Sun in Cancer. Once a year for a month, we're in Cancer. We need to get in contact with our personal feelings, what's going on inside of us. And often it hurts. There are things that hurt, and we don't understand. We are like, oh, again, this role of a victim. I'm not saying that I don't feel empathy for you, because I'm also going through hard things. I also have things and people to let go of. So I'm not at all saying that I'm better than any of you. I'm just trying to help so that you take responsibility for whatever is going on. Because often in this society, we go to the doctor and we say, oh, we are so sad, I'm so sad. Oh no, you can't be sad. You know, that's society's response as it is in the Western world. Take some pills, you know, then you will be happy, because we can't have you walking around being sad. And then I'm asking, why is it not allowed to be sad? To feel sorrow? And what do you think happens if you actually have sorrow or sadness inside and you go and drink, you take some medicine or do drugs or whatever you do? What will happen to those feelings? Do you think they will go away from escaping from them? No, they come up because our whole system, our body, mind and soul, are such intelligent, or we are so intelligent creatures. Our body is intelligent. It will tell you through pain that something is out of balance here. It's the body shouting hello, or your system shouting hello, something is not right here. Then you have to look upon, okay, is it something in my life, something I'm doing, something I'm repeating that is not right? Try to hear what it's saying. And it doesn't necessarily take a scientist. It takes for you to develop your intuition, the strength of this grand trine. Because then you can hear your soul speaking. or your higher self, as Martin would say, call it, or your heart. And then you don't need a drug to escape, because then you'll just suppress that feeling and it will come up at another time. And imagine if you've done this hundreds of times, how much you've stuffed in here, and why it always comes up as a shock whenever on the schedule it's time to get these things up. You get a shock because all of these feelings, why are they there? Now it's time to look upon, why are they there? Which old patterns do I have? How can I change it? Accept that you're sad. Stay in that sadness until you are ready to say, I will let you go. You don't need to hold on for it and talk about it for years. You can ask for that intelligent, undestroyed part of yourself to release it. And then give yourself the quiet time to do so. You cannot just by having the television running while you're drinking, while you're doing this, stimulating on the internet. If you do that all the time, when does your system have time to release? I don't care which system you use. I use heartfulness. But you can use whatever spiritual system. Maybe you want to be a Buddhist. Maybe you don't want to be anything at all, but just use the tools, as I am doing as well. I won't call me something in particular, any religion or anything like that. No, I'm using the tools that my heart is telling me to use for me to evolve. And as we have Saturn, as we have Mars retrograding in Aquarius. Aquarius is about the future. Which future do we want? And Mars is an aggressive sign that has frustrations and things, anger that it needs to let go of, or specifically in this time. So we have to just make sure that we don't just release it on other people. It's your fault. But try to be responsible in this process so that you can create the right future. Aquarius for yourself. Aquarius is also about friendships and circle of friends, people around you. So you can ask yourself, as it's going retrograde, it's it's revising, rediscovering which friends, which people, which circles is it good for me to hang around? Is there something I need to change in this process? And how can I follow my heart as I choose what's good for me and let go, and in a diplomatic way communicate to these people why it's no longer time. Maybe these people then realize something through what you're saying and you're actually doing them a favor. Maybe they want to come along but didn't know that they was suppressing a side of you because you never told them. Or maybe it is time to say goodbye. But that's the letting go here of Pisces. Goodbye. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the love. Anyone on our path is our teachers, I will say. Anyone we meet has something to teach us. Even the ones that we don't like to admit that are our teachers. This week is also Venus' last tour in Leo before it goes into Virgo. And it will go through the last decan. So this is definitely about following our heart and feeling what our inner core of our heart really wants in our connections with others, in our values. Are the values that we are actually living also the ones that we really feel are right for us? In our circles. Mars up here. We also have some months, more than some months left with the North Node in Leo. And we have Mercury here. And it's going to come halfway as this week ends. Oh, the magnets are. It's going to go halfway through Leo. I'm sorry if this is reflecting the light. It could be. I was trying to keep it a little, but I have three LED lights here. But I'm hoping that you can see this. If not, it's okay. I'm also just mentioning it at the same time. Next week we will have an eclipse in Cancer. What I want to say about that is that this solar eclipse in Cancer, I'll say it short because we'll take it next week, is very important. There will be a lunar eclipse at the end of July, which is what this Mars retrograde is preparing us for. I just talked about the future and the circles of people, having the right friends around you, but also detaching from emotions that are no longer serving you, but not let your frustrations and anger go to other people. And we will also have, like, Jupiter is going retrograde over here, and it's been for 3 months, right? In Scorpio. It will go forward next week. So we have some shiftings next week that are important, very important. So, but the energy then, as we are letting go, going into the moon, going into Aries, then into Taurus. I need to get some film so that this doesn't reflect. I was just thinking about that. I went to Nippon, one of the biggest companies in Japan, a printing company, because of a collaboration I'm gonna make with them with my brand, and also some television probably this week. It's a huge collaboration. They make things for cars, computers, television, La Louvre in France, museums, print money, print anything you can print upon, food. Or I have never seen such a big company, and I got a personal tour because of the collaboration we're gonna do. And these Japanese people are so amazing. We could learn so much from their kindness and gentleness. The way I was received as I got there, the way they gave me the tour, like the man I'm working with there, an older Japanese guy, he has such a great heart. It's amazing. And the reason why I'm saying is also because of the kindness that we need to be kind, like the Japanese are to other people. This kindness, you have to be kind to yourself and not beat yourself up once you realize, okay, maybe I cannot just blame the other people. We need to realize that other people are where they are for reasons. If you had their horoscope, you would probably be the same place. You are not necessarily right, but this is what's right for you. So as the moon moves into Aries, and it just wants to go forward, be careful not to shoot anyone down on your quest to go forward. Maybe they have another quest, and that quest isn't necessarily wrong just because something else is right for you. I'm repeating that. Because sometimes we can get into conflicts with others, because here in Aries it's going to square things down in Cancer and the bad boys up here in Capricorn. So during this week, as Mars is also going to be in opposition to Mercury, and the communication can be a little tense, and then the moon is going to, here we have Mercury in opposition to Mars, and the moon going into Aries. So it can be a little wild as we go to the weekend. The feisty Aries energy, use it in a positive way. Remember that anything I say, nothing is bad, really. Because there's a part of us that knows that it's all good, and you just need to lean back, as you of course do your work, because with Saturn that's active in our charts, we have to do hard work, but at the same time, let your soul enjoy this ride and enjoy anything as it unfolds. Try not to control too much. I want this to happen, I want that. You know, we go into Aries, the ego, and then the Taurus wants to manifest this and have that. That's the last part of the week as the moon is going there. And we think a lot about ourselves. But basically, our soul knows that we are all connected on a deeper level. So there's no need to force things through. The universe is going to unfold the plan step by step, whether you want it or not, or whether you like it or not personally. But your inner core, the higher self, knows that it's all like it's supposed to be, and that we planned this at one level, some level or another. Our soul made a schedule, and therefore, as I said in the beginning, this program I will call it the role of the victim, and letting go of playing the victim. You don't need to play a victim. I know this may be provocative to your ego, but you made this plan for you. there's someone, Charity from Heartfulness, a master that died recently actually, beloved master, he said that until you reach the state of complete purity, anything that happens in your life is a reflection of you. Take that. And I'll give that 10 seconds of silence. Anything that happen around you is a reflection of things going on inside you. So who's responsible and who can change it? Let me go into the personal sun signs now. So this is the PSA for the collective, especially for Aries because it happens in Aries, but it's for all of us, and it gets its own section because this is one of the very important things, if you ask me, for this week. For the first time in 50 years, Chiron goes retrograde in Aries. Chiron is where we feel inadequate, where we are broken somewhere inside, where we feel ashamed of ourselves. It's the wounded healer, it's called. Because as Chiron had to heal his wounds, long story, I told it in another section, won't tell it again now, but you can ask and I will comment in the comment section if you want to know more. As Chiron healed from his wounds, he became the wounded healer and specialist in healing wounds. So Chiron is in Aries. What is Aries about? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the first little plant that breaks through the soil, the sprout of the energy arising after a long winter. It's spring coming. It's our identity. It's our expression of self. And when Chiron goes retrograde there, because it just came into Aries recently, only a few months ago, we started dealing with this part of ourselves, which is perhaps the worst and the most critical part of our soul, not of our soul, but our soul in the body as human beings. And that is when we feel like that we are not wanted for who we are. When we feel like someone wants us to not be there. When we feel we don't are adequate to exist. We don't feel like we belong here because people don't want us here. Someone don't want me here as I am. People want you to change because you are not good enough for who you are. You can be here, but only if you are not yourself. And in Aries, because Aries is about your identity. I want to go this direction. What do I want? What is my identity? But the crisis, the wound you can have here is when people don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like who you are. The feeling of someone saying that without words, with words, whenever during your life or in lifetimes. This is the wound we're healing. I'm Aries. I have Mars within the first degree of Aries. It just went into Aries. So I've had Chiron now moving over my Mars in Aries. And I tell you that I have been confronted with old wounds of me and the family, not my mom and my dad, not being wanted if I stood out as a spiritual person. I was considered lunatic and brainwashed for having my spirituality. This wound is coming up now, and I have to stand up towards this part and say, I am allowed to be here as I am. I'm not trying to convince you to be spiritual as me, but there cannot be rules. That's what I'm going through. For that this group of people can be exactly how they are, scientists, professors, or whatever we have in our society. But you can only say what we want. If you say something from your group, you're not wanted here anymore. This is an old wound of mine, more than 20 years and lifetimes. Long story. Maybe you have something similar in your life. This is not the only part. It's also about the environment I am in often in my life these days, these times. I have to fit in, and I have to cut a toe, what do you call it in English? Cut a heel and cut a toe, you know, like in Cinderella when she has to fit the shoes. Cut. Actually, I have a wound here on my toe from wearing shoes that weren't nice. Anyways, my point is just that wherever you feel like you, identity-wise, are not welcomed as you are, this is the time to heal this wound. Now Chiron is going retrograde. We have the ability to look over it again and see how we can heal this section of a part of ourselves. How we can be as we are, whole, and not needing necessarily to say it out loud or shout it out loud. I am like this, you know. It's more that peace you feel when you rest harmonically, peacefully in your own identity, with no need to shout, no need to do anything, because you know that you are welcome and okay just the way you are. And if you are not, it has nothing to do with you. Also, the acceptance of that is amazing. That is what I'm working upon. Accepting the people that don't appreciate me for who I am without judging them. Just saying they come from where they come from, and that is also okay. This goes for all signs. Identity-wise, of course, through each sign it will be something different. For Taurus, it's in the 12th house of the spirituality, the way they approach their identity of spirituality, or the contact with God, or psychological nature. Again, when I say God, I don't mean religion at all. It's just an expression for whatever created us. You know, to put words on whatever created this is also already then a little wrong, because something that big in one little word. For Gemini, it's the 11th house. It's the identity within groups, circles of friends, etc. Cancer, it's the 10th house. It's how they express themselves at their work, at their career-wise, their uniqueness of how they express themselves in their career. There's a room for this. The Leos, it's the 9th house. The spirituality and the, you know, the guru-like condition where you have the grand overview in their special way. The Virgos. For the Virgos, it's in the 8th house. So this is where they share resources with others, forces beyond their control, deep transformation, how they transform on a deeper level and connect sexually to a partner in their own special way. Then we have Libra. I'm turning the wheel inside of my head here. I didn't rehearse for this. I try to do this spontaneously. So if I have some earth, or sometimes it's because I'm trying to let the flow let me know what to say. For the Libras, it's about the partner. You know, crisis within, how am I in a partnership? Can also be that for Aries, actually. It's not only identity, it's on this axis, the partner axis. How do the partners see me and welcome me as I am? Can I be like I want to be in a partnership, or is my partner not accepting me for who I am? Then the Taurus, it's the day-to-day lifestyle, routines, the work they do every day is like they like to do it their own way. And has there been neglection of that from someone that didn't want the Scorpios to express themselves in their own way in this regards. Then we have the Sagittarius in their romantic life with their romantic partners or with the children, or just the creative expression of being in love with life in their own special way. For the Capricorns, it's the family. How are they within the family? Oof, that's not easy. Such an important thing, like in their personal life, being accepted for how they are, who they are in their personal life. I have very dear friends and also many people I did readings for, being Capricorn, that really have a crisis on this one, where they aren't really accepted for how they want to build a family and do things. Aquarius, for Aquarius, is the third house of communication. How do I express myself? How do I, go about when I spontaneously express my way of communicating, my way of thinking, because it's sudden epiphanies and ideas, the Aquarian mind, and maybe they're not accepted for this way of detaching and in their mind being able to jump so fast and so genius-like, but being criticized for being not being right, perhaps in this way. For the Pisces, is their values, their habits, their finances, the way they run this, a crisis within this, and we also have the personal sun signs, of course, which will come now. I will talk more about Chiron, of course, as we go along. I can just say and sign that that this has not been easy, but I can also feel how much I will benefit from it, and all of us, if we grab and own our thing, and heal it, and be gentle with ourselves, and find ways to clean it out so we don't get stuck in it, and to get across the barrel, or what do you call it, when you have to get over a fence to move on or something, This is what we need to do, and have faith in that you can do it, because one thing I'm sure of, for sure, is that it is possible for all of us to heal our wounds. For sure. So let's move on to the sun signs. Thank you. So, Aries, now it's your turn. The first one likes to come first and start new things, right? My fellow Aries. So, this grand trine that I'm talking about this week is going on in the water signs, and for you, Aries, or for us, it's happening in the more spiritual signs primarily. And when it's the sun forging a good aspect with Jupiter, it's always something that really can boost something and do something about an important thing. It can be about a business project, a new business project starting, where someone else is investing some money in you, Scorpio. And but it's also about the spiritual purposes for you guys. It's connected, probably. It can also be two separate things. But since Neptune has been in our 12th house for a long time now, for many years, but now strengthened again by all these things that has been going on in Scorpio, and since it's Jupiter being there now on top of the hard, deep inner transformations that we went through, the spiritual awareness and the clarity around it is getting more clear. And perhaps there's something you really need to transform on a deep level. Maybe you've come to the realization of what it is that you have to let go of, and you have to stay true to that in a way where you don't let your impulsive behavior act too aggressively or too straightforward for something, so that if there's someone you are saying goodbye to, and the process of Mars going retrograde now is draining your energy a little bit, because you can feel that, okay, you want to move forward, but there's some things that are not going to come fast. You're going to have to put some patience in, and maybe you're a little more tired than you usually are, and maybe you've had some confrontations where you've had to let go of your ego somehow and see things for what they are and see your own role in it. Because as I mentioned in the collective report, we make our own schedule here. So all the things you're like, but why am I not getting? If I had known, I didn't make that schedule. If I had written it, it would have been like this. Then try to ask yourself that this obstacle that you have in your life, what could it be? If you were a higher evolved version of yourself, how would you trigger you to look upon a side of you that is no longer good for you to maintain through the people that are coming in and showing you mirrors? And so try just to be honest with yourself and swallow any kind of pride. Pride, we can't use it for anything. It's just so much easier just to be off, F it, okay, I know this side is bad. And actually, Aries, we are good at that because we can see a strength in admitting a weakness. There's something strong about saying, yes, I know I did wrong. Or yes, I know that this has not been the best path to go down, and therefore I will try to change it. And then sometimes for us Aries, depending on how Aryan you are, like I'm very Aryan because I have Mars in Aries, but I have so many other things as well. But when it comes to impulsive behavior, I am. So I cannot really hide my weak spots because it will just come out, you know. So I'm not good at hiding things. So I have also been aware of, okay, where do I need to evolve? What do I need to change within me? What did I bring from my past, my childhood? We're in Cancer now. So in a good way, with this Sun trine, we can try to look upon things from our childhood that we need to change. How can we put our inner child first and accept and respect the feelings that we have and let them come to the surface and not try to escape them. This is because it's these tatami mattresses. The Japanese are not welcoming that you put dirt on them. It's kind of like a holy room I'm in here in our house. So you're not supposed to wear shoes or anything actually. Barefoot is what is mainly expected. But try to build some patience and work for this thing that's so important to you guys or to us in a way where you transform on a deeper level. I know that some of the things I'm saying I'm repeating from other reports, but it's because we are in the retrograde cycle, so it is the same thing going over. It's the same theme, but in a new light probably now. You will have a chance to meet up with it in a new light, and as Mars is coming closer and closer to that square to Uranus I talked about last week, the things at the end of May, you will have to look upon in a new light, and you will have to alter and change your ways in regards to this. We have the moon coming back in our sign, and this will give us some and a feeling of starting a new phase as it will pass our sun. And perhaps, I don't know if you've noticed, but have you noticed that every year, like the sun, of course, in 365 days comes to the same day again every year. So today, last year, where were you? What were you doing? Which situation were you in? Can you see resemblances, and can you see new ways of this thing you were in, of acting, of doing, of saying, or this is something you can apply to every day, not just this week, but every day of the year. I've noticed throughout the years that there's something, I can learn something from when I look back last year around this time. What was the issue, and have I grown from it? You know, maybe you can also ask yourself, as Mars is going to be in opposition around Friday, depending on where you are, plus minus Thursday, Friday, Saturday-ish, because it's also going close in and then out, to Mercury. And Mars is us. It's our planet here in Aquarius, and I don't know if that's a reflection, but it's in Aquarius, and it's going to be in opposition to Mercury over here in Leo. So maybe that's here up here in Aquarius, we're trying to build a new life, to see a new future, to make the plans for it so that we can gain from it, to regroup, get new cycles of people, circles of people around us, so that when the new Mars cycle starts, we are with the right people for our purpose and our path, because this is the future and we're looking into it. What is it that we need to do with our lives now? But then Mercury, being the rational planet in opposition to us-ish, can cause us perhaps to, instead of relying on our gut feeling and our instinct and what we know is wrong, then maybe we start thinking, oh, maybe I should do it in another way, or someone else is trying to convince you differently, rationally trying to say that I think something else. But remember to follow your heart and really go in and feel what is right for me. You know, what can be the right thing for me to do, and then stay true to that. And then it's the last week of Venus here in Leo. So go out and have some fun and flirt with your partner and just enjoy life this week and eat a cookie. It's okay. When it goes into Virgo, we'll sober up and be ready to harvest some things, hopefully, in our relationships throughout, like for what we've been working through these rather rough times that we've been through. But also in Virgo, it's also about health, and maybe we are going to have to eat more healthy for some reason as we reach Virgo. So this is the last week of Venus, the habits of us being in Leo, where it has given us a lot of charisma and beautiful stirrings in our hearts, in spite of all the harshness that's been going on. I really hope that you are following your heart and listening to your inner voice. And if you still feel like, but I can't hear what it's saying, I'm not sure, then don't worry, relax, stay calm. Then you're probably still cleaning, and the path will eventually reveal itself. There's always a day after a night. So if it seems a little dark right now, just know that this shall pass too. And then try to learn to trust the process. And remember that what we focus upon grows, so fear will just take you down the wrong path. So for your own sake, please try not to focus upon what you are afraid of could manifest, because we are looking at our future here in Aquarius. Do not make it what you don't want, but what you want. It's so important to hear what you really want and then trust in that this can happen, and then follow the highest vibration of joy. Whatever you feel gives you joy is the right way. If something takes you down, it's not the right direction. The heart will speak to you through joy and laughter and positive feelings. And this doesn't mean get drunk and eat a bag of chips, partying all night, because Saturn is involved. So what makes you happy? What will make you happy? Is it to do something good for someone else? Is it to do something creative, invent something new, give yourself the opportunity to live the place you really wanted? We have the Cancer thing going on. Maybe you want to move, maybe you want to redecorate the room, and that makes you feel good. Just remember to learn to listen to your higher self and your heart. Thanks for watching. Now it's the How We Eat All the Signs program. So welcome to this week's special. This week it's about how the different signs would eat, or what they would eat. Just a brief one. And if you don't agree with it and think that your sign is very different from that, please let me know through a comment. This is just how I imagine it. I was having this conversation with my father, and he was like, this is how I think they would do it. And he's so funny. So yeah, the different signs, that is. So let's start with Aries. What Aries likes, I assume, is to, you know, have some fresh things to put in their food, you know, fresh vegetables, or maybe just a really strong beef or something that can give them strong proteins. Well, now I'm a vegetarian, so that wouldn't be the case in my case. But you know, something that can give them some more, some energy, and they're athletic. They love to eat, to move and do sports and stuff like that. But it can also be that when they're talking or when they're eating, they'll just be like very fast on to the next thing, because yeah, you know, then they can get all the things done that they are starting, because they start new things and they have to eat fast, and while they're eating they have an idea of what then they can do, then they have to hurry up. It could also be that the Aries takes its food, depending on how unconventional the Aries is, because it has 3 projects that it likes to start so much that it only gets 3 bites or whatever it wants to eat, and then it takes the food to the project, and then it will take a very long time before finishing the food, because as it's doing its project, it's eating on one thing and then on the project, and then to the next project on taking the food, eating a little bit more, and then it will actually take them 3 hours before the meal is done. So that's the Aries. Then we have the Taurus. Taurus is the feinschmecker, you know, food-wise. That is the cook you want to have for your wedding, or someone to spoil you with food. You will invite the Taurus. Taurus can be the most exquisite cooks in the kitchen. They will do it with love, with passion. They will have a feel for what to use. They don't even need to use any cookbook or anything, because they are so nerdy in this area of food that they will make you feel like you're on a 3-star Michelin restaurant. And it's not about what they make, because they can make vegetarian food, they can make beef stew, they can make tapas, Mexican kitchen, they can make Indian food, they can make sushi, anything. But the point is that whatever they make, they will make it taste good. They will find these ingredients. You know, I was with a Taurus for 11 years, and he was so nerdy. It was such a hardcore thing to be with the Taurus, because you really have to make some good food, you know. So I learned to make food and cook with the heart from him, to really feel into, oh, we also need some sweetness here, oh, we need some saltiness, oh, we need, and he was capable of making a dish so that you will get different graduations of experience. First we start out, then the mouth tastes the sweetness, and then comes the salt, I think the saltiness before sweetness. There's something about the tongue. We will not go into which tastes you meet first, etc. We'll not go into the further details of that, but that is the cook you want to hire, you know, the Taurus. Even a very normal, ordinary meal, the Taurus will make it so delicious. You know, he can make anything delicious. He will take that little special ingredients and twist it in a way, you know how to, you know, put emphasis on one taste or the other. Yes, okay, I could keep on with the Taurus. Let's not make this too long. Then we have the Gemini, and this, my father will get this one because he suggested it. In my old hometown, we had this, in Danish it's called sausage wagon or sausage car, you know. That place where there's a car with a built-in stand-up bar where you can get food, you know. Where they have sausages and French hot dog and, you know, stuff like that. Or certain kind of burgers or toasts, stuff like that. And my father's suggestion was that the Gemini will rush over because food, let's get some fast food, you know. I'm not sure he's right, but he will get this one. So if you're a Gemini, please write what you actually think of it. We were talking about that the Gemini would talk while eating, blah 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 blah, think and be very mental and think think about, like, while the Taurus is tasting every little bite, living into it, all senses, the whole body will suck up this experience. The Gemini would more mentally be thinking about other things while eating, talking to people, to the people around, you know, going to the sausage wagon, as my father said. I'm not sure that it's right. So if you're Gemini, please comment. Then we have the Cancers. And the Cancers would be like having a cozy time with the family around the dinner. You know, mom will stand in the kitchen and make food like our mom used to make it, you know. And they will be like very much hygge. The Danish word hygge is coziness, but just only the Danish word can describe how an atmosphere can just be so cozy in a way where it's like, let's hygge. You know, and the mom will make it taste like, in the old days in Denmark, rød grød med fløde. It's a typical thing that us Danes would make a foreigner say, because it's almost important. We have the O with the line through, so ø. Rød grød med fløde means red stew with cream. But anyways, it will be, could be, again, let me know if it's wrong, traditional food, like for whatever country you are from, what you traditionally serve. Frikadeller in Danish. Look it up, frikadeller. It's a meatball, a sort of a meatball made out of pig. But whatever traditional food you would like to have in your country, maybe the Cancer would make it, and make it very cozy, and the whole family is there, and it's a whole ritual to eat together, because that's where the family is gathered, and you have a really nice atmosphere in general. You know, since Cancers are so sensitive, I don't know if that's the reason, but I've known several Cancers, and most of them are vegetarians. That's a little funny. And then you're like, well, you only know vegetarians. No, because these are people from my teenager years. And they're not from the environments where I come. Like they're vegetarians. And they became vegetarians very early on, and I'm thinking about that. Maybe it's because it's a sensitive sign. That also food, but like maybe even though it's not the stomach that causes problems here necessarily, then it could be that they care more for what they eat, because they're sensitive also towards food. It's a sensitive sign. And now it's the Leo. The Leo would probably, you know, have a very, very nice, very good looking table full of food, you know, all different variations. I'm sorry, it's because of variationer in Danish, variations in English. So my head was a little bit, because I'm also learning Japanese, so many languages in my head, and spoke with a friend in Spanish, and heard some French, and long story short, they will have a lot of variations of food, you know, like looking really good. Like Taurus is the feinschmecker in the taste. It's very grounded in the way it really tastes, and the experience is, it can also look good with the Taurus, but the main thing is that the whole sense, all the senses for the Taurus is sublime. Here in the Leo, it's more like the show that's around it, like in big, you know, chandeliers and you know, like only a king worthy, and the guests come, and it will be presented like almost a show, and they will be, wow, how wonderful, and how did you manage to do all of this, you know. So in another way than the Taurus, yeah, it's more about the show and the whole, but a great experience. Made with love, food made with love as well, with their hearts. And maybe it's even fun food. You know, my father said that he had an aunt that used to talk about the phenomenon of making fun food, morsomad in Danish. Fun food. Fun is not the right word, but sjov is fun in Danish. But we have another word called morsom, which is a variation of fun. Like humorous food, in a way. Then we have the Virgos, And the Virgos, they are kind of like more critical about which food to eat and to make, because they are the ones that can get sensitive and also get some problems with their stomach, perhaps, like I mentioned with the cancers. Also because they're so self-critical that all the and so focused upon the detail, and maybe they will, you know, keep it more simple in order to at least get the detail that they have right. You know, so make sure that maybe they will even stick to the traditional, or for them traditional, what they made to be traditional, what they know they can make good, because they don't want to end up in a situation where they need to criticize themselves for, oh, I didn't make it well enough, or oh God, it could have been done in a better way, you know, stuff like that. So maybe you can even expect like little tapas, you know, like they do it in Spain or in Mexico, where there's small dishes that you can take a little bit from here and there, you know. And they don't want to have that as the Leo, you know, with the big arms or the big gestures. There will be less. There will be less on the food, a little more simple. Some Virgos can be a little greedy, not in a bad way necessarily, but you know, hold back a little bit. I don't know, I've heard that from several astrologers. I have a double Virgo father that is the least greedy person on this planet. He will give away even his underwear and stand there naked with nothing if he could benefit others. He's so generous. So I don't know if it's true. You can also comment on that if you'd like to. But it is written in some books that the Virgos can be greedy. I haven't experienced it that much, actually. I have once. So maybe it's a trait that some have and others doesn't. But they don't want to have a heck of a lot in the fridge when the show is over, you know, because they bought in too much. It will be a portion that's appropriate for whoever's coming. Then we have the Libras. I have a lot of Libras in my family. They will make sure that, of course, whoever is coming, they will please. So if it's Donald Trump, by all means, I don't think he's going to be coming here. He has been here in Japan while we have been here. We saw that just parts of the streets, the city was locked because they had to escort him. But the point is that maybe then the Libras will serve a steak, a big steak. And so apparently the camera died of overheating. So back to the Libras. The most important thing for the Libra is that the guest is satisfied. So it will always try, because the Libra wants harmony and balance, and always use itself as the trait for that. So whatever the Libra wants itself is not important. If they have a guest, then they will figure out what does the guest want. So if it's a huge trunk of meal, it's like meat. You know, like you can have a meat tower. You know, if it's a meat tower, if it's for vegetarian or vegan, where you don't even eat eggs, or if it's those people who only eat fallen fruit because you cannot take the fruit from the tree, that's what the Libra will do. But the Libra is mostly, first and foremost, is about the golden middle way, as the Buddhists talk about, you know. Not too much, not too little, something that keeps a balance. A little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that in a good balance, according to the people that are there. Like my grandmother, for example, she was a Libra. She was born on the 19th of, so she was in the late degrees of October. My mom was from the 2nd of October, and so many people from my family was from those days. My grandmother was so good at, you know, keeping the balance and the golden middle way. She would eat one piece of chocolate every day. One piece of chocolate, you know. She would have the best Marabou chocolate, that, you know, that one that just melts in the mouth and you're just like, give me more. But this woman, with the sun at the same placement as I have my ascendant, she was capable of eating one piece of chocolate and putting the chocolate out again. So even though I'm a high degree Libra rising, I cannot say that I mastered that. Then I just don't have the chocolate. So I have a 0, but that's not the golden middle way, is it? Because she also only smoked 1 cigarette a day, or was it 3 at one point? And she died 93-year-old, you know. So when I smoked, which I did for a couple of years as a teen, because a boy I really liked was in the smoking yard. So I had to kind of smoke to get down there to see him. So young and so stupid. My father barely never said anything negative about me, but he said some things around these years that were so young and so stupid, and the years that passes by so slowly. He said a few times. Other than that, he would never criticize, really. But anyways, I would smoke 20 to 25, but this Libra would just smoke 1, max 3 cigarettes a day, eat 1 piece of chocolate. You know, so that's also the way the Libras eat. And a good balance, and on the plate, you know, when they get a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of sweet, and take a little bit of the potato, a little bit of the piece of meat, a little bit of the sauce, you know, get a little bit of each. And the aesthetic view is also important. Like my mom was from the 2nd of October, also Libra. She loved to make a smart food, you know, looking good. In Denmark, we have smørrebrød. S-M-O with the line through. You know, like I said before, I mentioned rødgrød med fløde. The O with the line through it, smørrebrød, S-M-Ø-R-R-E-B-R-Ø-D. Try to look it up. It's a piece of rye bread, dark bread, right? Heavy bread that you actually get full by eating, not just white bread. Dark bread and a little bit of perhaps butter or something, a slice of meat, and then starts the building, you know, Italian salad, what they call the carrots, the mayo, and the green peas, and then a little bit of this and a little bit of that, until you have a mountain. And this food you have to really be careful and balance while you put it in the mouth. But it looks really smart and beautiful and aesthetic, because, you know, the Libras love the aesthetics. Yeah, so that was the Libras. So, I won the battle over the microboard, and I'm back with Scorpio. And I would say that the Scorpios are all in if they're in, or either they don't like it. I hate these kind of potatoes. I love a huge steak with just kicks some behind, full blast. You know, so it's kind of like, okay, so either you're a vegan, not just a vegetarian. Vegetarian is for the weak people. Either you go all in and you're not, or you're nothing. So they will enjoy the food they love with great pleasure and dig into it, and they won't use the plate, don't need it. Just the whole, no. I'm not saying that they're unstylish. They will have proper manners, but they will love it. Every taste of the thing that they love, and they will be all in on that specific thing. And if they're really, you know, tripping on something, I bet they're very good cooks as well, because if they really want this taste, they're gonna go all the way to get that taste. Intense, passionate cooking with love. And you know, if you imagine some South American woman who's just like sexually pouring all of her great energy into, it doesn't have to be sexually, it could also be a big mama who's like, or a man, doesn't have to be a woman, but someone who's just able to put all of the passion and full of spices, full blast on the what do you call those chilies that are so, I don't know, let's just call them Black Havana. I don't remember. I actually just had a meditation for half an hour. I just took a break before, because with the heartfulness meditation you can have something that's called sittings, where you get a meditation on a distance, and the woman that gave me the meditation, where we sit together, and the meditation is sitting in France, and I just got that, so I just came out of it. But it's such a good energy. Well, anyways, that was Scorpio. So, the Sagittarius. This is one of the ones that my father, she's so funny. Okay, so what we talked about is that, of course, the Sagittarius wants to go traveling, experiencing different cultures, also through the food. So they've been in Africa and tried weird insects on a plate. They've been in India trying the strongest of the strongest, 10 out of 10. They've been in America, tried the hugest French fries and the largest glass of Coca-Cola. They've been in South America, in Mexico at the Death Day, where they ate from a crane, from a skull, tapas from a skull. And whatever they've tried on some of their journeys, they will probably serve at home as well. Oh, when we were in Russia, we got this special food where they actually put cinnamon in the food, and even hot food like a meat sauce with cinnamon. You know, that's not a typical thing to do. It actually tastes really good. There was a half Russian man who once made a friend of my family, my mom and dad's. And then my father's suggestion was that the Sagittarius would go to Japan, where I am now, and try this kulefisk. You know, I should have looked it up. Kulefisk, what is the name of a kulefisk? And the fish that you eat, if it's not cut well, you can look it up. If it's not cut well, or I can put it in the text, in the right way, where you slice it in the right direction. The problem is with this fish that you will die, because some sort of poison will be released from the fish if you don't have the right angle and the right technique when you cut it. And my dad's opinion was that the Sats would of course go to Japan and try this fish, and then bad luck if we get stung by this thing and it will hit us. It doesn't matter, because we are always lucky. Of course we have to try it so that we have it on the to-do list, checklist of what we tried. The Capricorn, a traditionalist in the kitchen that likes traditionally well-tried out food that works, where we follow the rules and a recipe. We are not just, you know, playing the wizard, as maybe the Scorpio is more like the wizard and tries this and that and put in a little bit of certain type of spice and witch boiling something. Here we are following the recipe, the book. We printed out something from the internet to see this is how you make this. And you don't, if you call something a pizza, it has to be a pizza. It's not like when I make a pizza, like a healthy pizza, because I eat kind of a lot for a woman my size. I have, because of my high level of energy and all the activities I do, I need something with a firm bottom, you know. So when I make a pizza, there's all sorts of, like, I can use different sorts of flours that are really, you know, even with different what do you call it, like pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, and or just buckwheat flour or whatever, and I would still call it a pizza when it's done with the tomato sauce and whatever I put on. And the Capricorn will go, this is not a pizza. This is some mumbo jumbo that you made, but I admit that it can taste good. The Capricorn will of course be able to see that it tastes good, but don't call it a pizza. I'm sure there's stable good cooks in the kitchen. There's also an earth sign, so they value the good taste that you can count on. Again, if you're against this, you're a Capricorn, say, you're not right, please correct me. I would love to learn about this. My father suggests for you, Aquarius, that you are the Curious George, I believe. No, Curious George is the monkey. What do you call the inventor in Donald Duck? Just a second. Okay, so the Aquarius would be the Georgian Gearless in Danish. Georgian Gearless, you know, that guy from Donald Duck that has a thinking hat, which is a nest with birds lying on top of his head, in a what do you call it? Chimney, top of a chimney, and the birds, when he puts it on, he gets the most brilliant ideas that no one ever thought about, that, you know, time machines and God knows what. So it will be the inventor in the kitchen. The kitchen will be like kind of like a laboratory where new stuffs are invented, and they will try out new things like futuristic food that you haven't tried before. You know, suddenly years ago they started using real gold in the food, and they found this special plant that no one ever heard about, or this special kind of salt from this sea, and if you mix it with this and that, you get this new taste that no one tried before-ish. Or just experiment in the kitchen, a little bit of this and that, and what do we get if we do this, and you know. Maybe they get new great ideas for a recipe that no one ever heard about before. So Pisces, this is my father again. We blame it on him. He would say anything that gets you, you know, out there in space. So you... My dad is so funny. He's a double Virgo, and I'm certain that that's because he has so much Pisces in him. He would never ever need a drink or anything, and he doesn't really drink or do any drugs or anything, or he doesn't do any drugs, and he doesn't, I mean, he barely, if he has a beer in the fridge, he'll be there for half a year and no one will touch it. Because me and him, we are kind of born falling into this one, like Obelix from Asterix. We don't need any booze or anything to get. We're just high on life as it is, you know. And that's the same with my dad. But he suggested that you guys, Piscean, would pick. You're the kinds that like, oh, we want some cookies. Here you go. Here's some cookies. And then after you eat the cookie, you're like, you know, because you are so suddenly stoned because, oh, I forgot to mention, yeah, there's 10 grams of weed in it or whatever. Oh, there will be, you know, like incense around the house while you're eating, and nice music, and yeah, and anything that will make you hallucinate. Again, my father. You'll go out on a shrimp hunt in the forest, and suddenly you'll find these. Oh, what are these shrimps? Maybe we should try them. I heard that you get some nice experiences where your refrigerator starts breathing and the floor starts going like this. Again, Pisces, if you don't agree, tell me what kind of food you will do. Probably there'll be served some good drinks as well. I keep on going there. And if you're cannibals, you will eat fish. You know, Pisces. You eat your own sort. Maybe you are even a vegetarian, because your vibration and frequency is so in tune, you know, so altered in a way that any meat will drag you down too heavily, perhaps. So that was it with this week's extras with the different signs and food. One of these upcoming weeks we will have my twin flame, Martin Mikkelsen, my partner. We are also astro twins. We are born on the 8th of April, both of us, 3 hours apart, 12 years apart, which means that we have Jupiter the same place, last degrees of Cancer. We have Mercury the same place. We have the Sun in the same place. We have so many planets in the same place. My ascendant is on his Mars, etc., etc. My moon on his ascendant. We can go on for hours and hours about this. North nodes in a trine in Earth signs. So, yeah, my twin, he is amazing. He is, yeah, the greatest gift of my life. In so many ways, I learned so much from him, and hopefully he learned something from me as well. But it's not up to me to decide. But he is writing a book about the higher self. And I'm not going to tell you anything else, but he will be in this program also. He's deputy head at the Danish embassy here. He's a diplomat. Has 7 things in Libra, or the 7th house. But thank you for watching this time. I hope you really got something out of it. We will of course be back next week for next week's forecast. And remember to send me a comment if there's something you would like me to change, or something you thought was good in the earlier programs. This is week number 8 that I'm doing this. So it's program number 8, and I'm trying to get this out on NHK, on television, real television. real television. This is also real television on the internet, but to get it out to a broader audience as a weather forecast with astrology. So wish me luck. I'm having one of the first meetings next week. Send me some good luck with that one. It would be awesome if we could get astrology out there, just as they have in India, to reach more people, so that more people can get to understand why they chose a certain schedule in life and stop playing the victim role, because they finally realized that on a soul level this was what they needed on their evolutionary journey. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't follow trends. Follow your heart. See ya.
There is this angel saying I'm gonna find my way yesterday. Better days were hard to find. Listen, inside my mind, ask me, did you never ever not make it through to the other side? Around the corner, the sun will rise. Through all the hard times, I always seem to find the light in your eyes. We fall through sometimes. If it wasn't for the night gloves, we wouldn't feel the fire. When it's really burning, all ugly darklings turn white. The angels come to me now, and I'm afraid I'm gonna fall. My sins are not asleep now. Would you catch me if I call? Through all the hard times, I seem to find a light in your eyes. We fall through sometimes. If it wasn't for the dying gloves, we wouldn't feel the fire. When it's really burning, all ugly darklings turn white. There is this angel saying, I'm gonna find my way back home. The secret is love, he said. You've got to lift yourself up, try again. One day you will break through. What you long for will find you. Through all the hard times, I always seem to find summertime. Summer သူအမိငါရအပ်ပြီးလို့တာ